Hey everyone, it is Jess Tomlinson, your Radiant Self-Care Coach, and I'm back with another video for the Me Time Matters series. And we are chatting about why me time really matters, right? If we look under the hood of self-care and me time, it's so much more than just manicures and pedicures and massages. And those things are great, but they're not all that self care is about. And they are not why me time actually matters. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the term self care. And the term self care is just such an interesting term because if you use it with people like I do when I introduce myself as a radiant self care coach, they kind of look at you like, huh? Like, what do you do? Right? And a few people kind of get it, but we all kind of have our own definition of what self-care means. And a lot of people, what they automatically assume and what it actually says in the dictionary. So maybe it's the correct term, but I'm here to challenge this term and for us to expand our minds as to what self-care actually means. But in the dictionary, it's actually a very clinical term. And my guess is that this is the origin of where the term self-care came from. And where that is that it came from the medical industry, right? It came from healthcare. So self-care is traditionally defined as anything that is a like preventive practice to prevent you from experiencing medical complications, but something that you can actually do for yourself without the help of a professional or a healthcare provider. So it would be something like breast exams to help, find potential lumps. But what happens when we think of self-care in those terms is that it rules out the bigger, broader purpose of why me time matters, why self-care matters. And what I would challenge us to really accept and to, my battery was dying, sorry about that, and to really open our minds to think of self-care as is that it is a bigger, broader practice where you get the opportunity to connect with yourself, your higher self, God, through what I call your inner radiance. So like your inner wisdom, right? The inner purpose that's burning inside of you, this inner knowing, maybe you call it your intuition, through whatever that looks like for you. So to really understand what self-care can do, it's a coming home practice to yourself. And a lot of times when we think of self-care or me time, we think that it has to be alone, right? We think that self-care and me time means alone. And that's great. I'm all for being alone, and I think we actually need to be alone more to really understand and get clarity on what we really, really need, want, and desire in our lives. Because when there's a bunch of people around us, what are we listening to? Not ourselves. We're listening to what everybody else thinks, and we're listening to what society thinks, and the media, and friends, and families, and lovers, and everybody's kind of telling us what to do. So coming home just to ourselves and figuring things out by ourselves is really important. But I want to challenge the traditional definition of self-care where it is just a self-practice. So if we were to break down self-care, the meaning of self-care, and actually just, forget the definition that I shared with you about the medical stuff and just look at the word self. So self, right? That one's easy. But care. So what does care mean? Care is so much more of this broader description than just like certain things that fall into the categories of what we think of as self-care, right? Like drinking a green juice and going to yoga and doing meditation and, taking a bath and getting regular massages and reading a book. There's like very certain things that we think of when we think of me time and self-care. But if we actually look at the word care, Like if somebody was to say, take care, like give you a hug, oh, I love you so much, take care of yourself, okay? What are they really hoping for? They're hoping that you do everything that you can to feel more love in your life, to feel happier, to feel more joy, to be healthier, to expand into the full potential of you and what you were brought here on this planet to do. That's our deepest longing for those that we care about, right? So when somebody says take care, they're not saying, take care. Now you make sure that you go and you eat all those super healthy foods, and you make sure that you go and you like exercise every single day for 30 minutes and don't do it less, right? Like that's what we think of when we think of self-care, but it's actually so much more than that. And in another one of these Me Time Matters videos, I defined that self-care is actually giving yourself permission to fulfill your deepest wants, needs, and desires. Like, what do you really, really need, want, and desire? Okay, so that could be right now, what I really, really need, want, and desire is a cupcake. And if you're really honest with yourself and that's what you want, go out and get it. Okay, or it could be what I really, really need, want, and desire right now to feel better or to feel happier or to feel more in love with myself and the world is a green juice. Go out and get it. Okay? Now, the interesting thing about this is that the more that you actually give yourself what you need, want, and desire, which is self-care, the more and more you're going to lean towards the things that are actually good for you. Okay? And I'm not sitting up here trying to preach that like one day when you start, practicing self-care and after, a little bit into your journey, you're all of a sudden going to be like, tick, all I ever want is a green juice. No, it hasn't happened for me, because when we get to that place, my body craves green juice now, but I still allow myself to indulge in whatever way that looks like for me. And that is self-care. Okay, so expand your minds. Self-care is not just what we think it is. Me time matters. It's not just reading a book and drinking green juice and doing yoga and meditation, okay? It is so much more than that. It's giving yourself exactly what you really, really need, want, and desire in any moment and for any reason. And that is a true definition of self-care. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear from you in the comments. We can stay in touch, jesstomlinson.com. And if you want to start your self-care me time journey today, go to betterthansexsmoothie.com, because I got a super delicious smoothie for you that seriously, so delicious, mouth-watering, yummy, better than sex smoothie. I mean, hello. And you'll get my instant recipe when you go there and put your name and your email in the box. And I'll see you back for the next Me Time Matters video. All right, guys, have a good one.